Good morning. So it is May 17th, 2021 at about 7:27. So I got to the screen real late today after the market opened, so no pre-open trading for me. I don't know what happened. I think I maybe turned off my alarm or I didn't sleep very well and I was already to bed pretty late, so being that I got to the screen real late today, I'm not even sure that I probably would have traded anything pre-market anyway. At the open, we had this huge rally here, and it kind of shot off from nowhere. I don't think I would have participated in this because after taking out these lows here, price just took off and never really looked back. And then looking at the pre-market trade, I wouldn't have been here anytime before 5:30 anyway. I possibly could have seen taking a short somewhere in this structure after this imbalance moved down, maybe in here to capture a break of those lows. But that's about it. Not a whole lot going on. Now, looking here, we're pushing up against the high day again, and we just had this kind of false break down, the spike down just out of nowhere also. So not really anything tradable here. Now we're moving into high days again, and I would expect to come up and take out this naked, this untested point of control from last Wednesday. And possibly, we're trading back into the structure as well, so there's some potential issues here. Now we're trading into these bar lows, so there could be a little bit of a issue here getting back up into range, and then up into here if we can trade through the range, taking out these highs. And there is more structure to the left as well, so that's the short-term read. If we do happen to fail this area and these highs and then this structure here, we do have quite a bit of area for nice short side targets all the way down to fill in this space down to the 65 round number. So there's definitely some potential if we can get a nice setup. This is definitely an area I'm watching of interest. I mean, a little bit tempted to take the short here with some tight risk at like 6 ticks, but the likelihood of us coming up and testing this and breaking this high is pretty high. But something that is of particular interest as well is look at this 65.89 number is a low volume node where price is found to be a really significant flip area. So prices come here and shown it to be unfair. So I'm really going to be watching this for possible moves back into this previous structure or rejection. And so this is why I didn't take the short off of this small imbalance, because we were now holding this structure and likely to break this and test higher. And this 66 round number to at least test up into that is very likely in my opinion. So I'm long at 81, and we got this push down below, looking like we were going to come back and fill in some of this area, and I think it was just kind of a false break. Now I'm going to be looking for these highs to get taken out and a push back into that structure above. So where am I looking for this to go? We definitely need to break up above into this structure, and this point of control at the 66 round number would be my first target. And I went to break even on a test of this high right here, and it may be a little early, but that's always the fine line of what I'm talking about. But I really wanted to see it go here, and with this kind of a two-way setup here, because this was also an imbalance down after the new high day, so I can see short context here as well. So that's why I really wanted to manage it pretty tightly. And now really at this point, it's kind of just flipping a coin. I don't see much information until something new comes in here. I can see higher and I can see lower being stuck below that structure. And with this high tick here, I can see lower because of that. I can see higher because have held this level, and with that untested point of control from the other day. So either or, really. Now this is kind of where I can get in it can be a temptation to get chopped up and try to pick a direction here. With this structure of this balance here, we've tested up into this high side several times. We have the low tick of this buyer here, so the long side looks a little better, but I mean, one little spike out in either direction, if somebody, a larger buyer or seller, is going to take a position here, they're gonna hunt for this liquidity either on the upside or the downside. And if I'm already in on either side of that, I'm likely to get spiked out. But right now at this point, I am thinking that the long side is more likely in the short term. But until new information comes into the market, there's not much for me to do here. So when this does blow off, it may be too late anyway when we pick a direction, so I may just be stuck watching this for a while. There we are testing the point of control. So nice, would have been a nice trade there on if I would have held these bar lows of what already got me in that trade, and then just this little push down below. It wasn't really anything significant. I wasn't wrong on the trade, so questionable to close that trade, but wanted to manage the risk tightly, and missed out on the upside push. So now I want to see what we're going to do up here. We have broken above this value area here and pushing up into this upper side of value from Wednesday. So are we going to hold this area and stay back into this area to likely come up and test some of this, the top side of balance here, or are we going to fail and fall back down? We definitely have trouble now below, being stuck above this high volume area here. So I could see potentially coming down, testing the upper side of this here, and either rejecting down and pushing back down in, or holding this area and looking to move higher. The next short-term upside target would be this supply zone here. Also this low volume node on the profile, but this is where this next untested supply is, right here at the 66.23. Or if we move back down and can get back down into this area, then we have a lot of downside targets as well. But got quite a bit of work to do, because we want to see what will happen at this 65.88 area if we do come down and hold the upper side of this value. So we pushed up and came right to this low volume area here and this fresh untested supply, and had a pretty sharp rejection here. So now just a lot of watching, a lot of waiting, not much trading yet. So overall volume is pretty light. I think Kelly mentioned that too, as we're approaching and getting close to rollover. But other than a few bars here, we have barely seen any bars over 1,000 contracts. So real light. So we have quite a bit of absorption coming in here. First clue was here, dome started getting real jumpy, and then here too. So now I'm going to be watching this area close. Are we going to hold this volume and push lower and take out these lows, or is this kind of also, we could see kind of a push down and then kind of a fake out and a spike above to hold this to break the highs? And then the high side target, now that this supply has been tested here, would be a test up into this to take out these 45 highs and possibly even these highs from Wednesday. Tried to get long, had an order at 96 after the test of the lower side of this range, and we low ticked these lows here, and I didn't get filled. So now we are back up to 05. So looks like we are kind of in balance, but I would have liked to have seen this at least go up, and I would have been trying to test the top side of this and looking for a higher target. Increased volume here. This is it's super choppy, but I was hoping to get filled here at 98 on this increased volume pullback here to this small structure here, and didn't get a fill, so I'm going to leave it for now, but doesn't look like it's going to come back. And so I pulled my order, and looks like we're going to go without me. I am going to call it a day. This volume is just, there's no volume today whatsoever. See, a lot of these bars are, less than 100 contracts. It's crazy. So I took a little short, expecting this small high tick failure here, and looking for the underside of this to hold and push down, and didn't happen. I took a real small loss. Shouldn't even be taking trades right now in this. I think the last somewhat decent opportunity was this push down back to VPOC here. When VPOC held in these old bar highs to the left, and the small imbalance push higher, I think that was a decent try to get this to break these highs. On the higher time frame, again, we have, this was my short idea as well. We're in this fresh supply here, which has now been tested, but there's just no volume, so nothing is really going to work out. Missing my fill at the 98 here after this push up, so that would have been a nice win there for at least 20. And then my break even earlier that I took was also a nice trade would have been a nice trade for a plus 20 at least, but it didn't work out. So some days are just not much to do, and the only reason if I stick around, I'm just going to probably try to force a trade or get into something that isn't really valid. So I'm going to be done for the day unless I come back and volume picks back up, but probably just going to go and do some other stuff. So